Welcome in everybody to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown, and joined back with me is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad, Jeff Brown. Dad, a hell of a lot to go over in racing and a hell of a lot to preview this week. Let's just jump right into it and talk about Richmond, the fiasco that happened at Richmond Raceway with the Cup Series. Austin Dillon gets a win by basically wrecking the entire freaking field at the end. He had the race won until the caution came out the end, but he got beat on the restart fair and square by Joey Logano, and that's not the move I'm mad about when he dove it in and bumped Joey Logano. Whatever, that I've seen that happen 1,000 times. The really bad move was where he right rear hooked Denny Hamlin into the wall, and that's just unacceptable because you can kill somebody doing that if it hits just right. And he did all of that, and he ended up winning. Well, NASCAR just came out that his win counts, but he's not going to the playoffs based on that win. He has deducted 25 team and owner points. I'm sure there's fines as well. I think that's the best call that NASCAR can make because that was a bunch of BS, and that was one of the dirtiest moves I've seen.
Yeah, actually, Denny Hamlin on Junior's podcast actually had a pretty good comment. He's like, if NASCAR doesn't do something about that, who's at my door? But he's like, what's keeping the one person in the Final Four from crashing the other three out in that race and winning the championship? He's like, yeah, it's just, pretty much uncalled for. And this is coming from Denny Hamlin, who, I don't like. I'm not a Joey Logano fan.
No, but I don't think I've ever.
If you crashed the one, okay, you could be like, oh, whoops, I didn't mean to get in that hard. We know you did it, but okay. You crashed two of them. He was playing NASCAR heat that last lap.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I know, man. I know why Joey was mad, but Joey's done the same bumps and runs like that before. I wasn't mad about that. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And then when he just hooks Denny Hamlin, and you know me, and we are not Denny Hamlin fans at all. And I sent a post about this on X. So I'm not a fan of either one of those drivers, but that was dirty as hell. That was ridiculous. And I don't know. I don't think either one of them has right rear hooked somebody to hit somebody like that. The Joey and Denny, they've bumped and made it pretty damn sort of dirty racing, but nothing like that. That was uncalled for. He should have also, Austin Dillon should also got suspended for a race, I think, because I think Bubba Wallace was as well when he did that to Kyle Larson, and I think Chase Elliott was as well.
That was after the race when Bubba did it or whatever. So I think that they really kind of.
Yeah, that's true. But
the spotter kept yelling, wreck him. That's the one that probably should be suspended.
Well,
assuming it was,
they're gonna argue that he was saying wrecking and not wreck him. That's what they're going to argue, and that everybody's mishearing it. We know what that means. They're just like, I get that.
Maybe that is what was said.
I get that Austin Dillon wanted to save his season, but he was 32nd in points, and he wants to wreck everybody to end up going into the playoffs like that. And it would just been an embarrassment to see him go to the playoffs because he can still probably win Daytona. Those cars are good at Daytona. He runs well there.
Yeah, he does good.
So that's the wild card, and he got into Daytona. He got into the playoffs by winning Daytona 2 years ago. So there's a chance that happens again. I don't see it. I see if he even has a chance to win Daytona, somebody's going to wreck the hell out of him because that was a bunch of BS, and people were pissed off about that. I will hand it to Denny, though. He was not whiny or anything after the race. That was the most professional interview I've seen Denny after he gets wrecked. Joey was, understandably pissed off. They fined Joey because he did a burnout down pit road in front of Austin Dillon's team.
Yeah.
You got to not do that because, if something slipped or whatever and you could get people hurt, I get that. But, yeah, so NASCAR laid the hammer down on Austin Dillon, so he's going to have to figure out try to win probably a Daytona because there's no other track he's going to be good at because they suck. I don't know how they were even contention at Richmond. I guess they played
the car was good. Yeah, he was definitely the fastest car there at the end, and he just sucked on that restart big time.
Now let's talk about the race itself. I was skeptical about the tires. I was skeptical how they would work, but the way the 400 laps played out, and you could only use 2 sets of the secondary tires, and then the prime tires you can use as many as you want. I liked how that strategy played out for a lot of people. It changed Suarez's day completely, and those tires were dramatically faster, and they fell off right about 35, 40 laps, and that's what we wanted to see at North Wilkesboro, but there was no abrasion there to make it happen. I like that on those shorter tracks. I think that can make the short track racing, because they can't figure anything else out with these cars, and make it more exciting. That was probably one of the best short track races in this next gen car.
Yeah, and it was still a boring race to the last 10 laps, to be quite honest. They still have a problem where, and I know, NASCAR don't want it, but they need more cautions, because the restarts where it gets exciting, you get strung out. They were lapping up to 10th place. I mean, it gets a little boring there for a while. Once they start having some cautions, the racing definitely gets better. But yeah, the tire thing was pretty good, because if you're going to have a softer compound tire, it needs to be, like you said, it needs to be dramatically faster and wear out.
And it was
way quicker. I mean, that's got to be
And for a while, I thought Suarez.
And they did it without being a dangerous tire, so that made it. They weren't having really any issues like that or anything. So
I'd like to see that, to see them try it out at Martinsville. I don't know how it would work at that. It's only like maybe arguably 2 lanes of passing at all at Martinsville. I'd still like to see them try it. I like the short track tries. I don't think it would really work out at a big speedway like the one we got coming up this week at Michigan. I think you just stick with the normal strategies of that stuff. These next gen
maybe Miles, you could probably get it, except
possibly maybe even Phoenix at the championship.
Phoenix would probably be okay.
But
Iowa,
yeah. Well, Iowa would actually go well with whatever they did, the half paved there. That might have actually been decent, and it was still a decent race. But all right, well, Ty Majeski wins in the Truck Series, and the Truck Series, I will say, was pretty good racing. They had 4. They tried to go 5 wide. That was never going to happen on restarts, but that's where they had enough cautions to make it really exciting at the end. Ty Majeski now punches his ticket to the playoffs, and now the Truck Series regular season, I believe, is now over. And I think Christian Eckes just won the regular season championship, if I'm not misspeaking. So they'll have a couple weeks off. They go back in 2 weeks, I believe. Is the next race, if I was reading the schedules right. But they're off this week going into Michigan. So let's get into our power rankings heading into Michigan post Richmond. Austin Dillon's not in my top 5. Just a heads up. He probably will never be in the top 5 of any power rankings ever. Damn, that was a lot of shit talk right there. I'm sorry. That just upset me, and I didn't even like the drivers he wrecked. So at number 5, I've moved him down a little bit, but I'm keeping him in my top 5. I got Chase Elliott at number 4. I think I moved down 1 spot. I've got Ryan Blaney. At number 3, I've got Christopher Bell. He was very solid throughout the race, and I think he's going to have a solid run at Michigan, so that's why I'm putting him up there. Number 2 and number 1, I did not change at all. I've got Kyle Larson at number 2. He did finish 7th at Richmond after a kind of a lackluster day, and it was kind of mediocre the entire time. And at number 1, I still got Denny Hamlin. He officially got credited with 2nd place at that race, and he probably should have won it unless if he didn't get hooked. So, all right, well, go with your top 5.
We're pretty close. So at 5, I have Christopher Bell. At 4, I did move Blaney down a little bit. I got Ryan Blaney at 4. Chase Elliott, I actually bumped him up. He was, solid all day. I think the Hendrick cars are going to be fast in Michigan. So I got Chase Elliott at 3. I have Denny Hamlin at 2. And Kyle Larson, having not a fast car, still managed to come home with a good, solid finish that just tributes to the whole pit crew working through that whole thing and tire strategy and that crash there at the end. So that's sort of, and like I said, this is also a preview, and I do think the Hendrick cars are going to be fast at Michigan. Although it does seem to be a Ford track for some reason.
I think it's going to be hard to pick an actual manufacturer of this one. I think they're all going to be up there in contention. Want to give a shout out to our partner, W Energy. Make sure you go check them out at w.gg. Use my discount code ZBHP. They have a tremendous plethora of energy supplements, hydration supplements, and now they have cans. So check them out. Use my discount code. Get 10% off your order. It's pretty much free shipping. They've got great stuff. They are a local U.S. small business. Keep supporting them. They are slowly expanding. Get in on the action now. Great stuff, great flavors, great energy supplements, great people. W Energy, w.gg. Discount code ZBHP, 10% off. All right, so NASCAR's heading into Michigan, a quite different track than Richmond. These cars have been putting on really good shows at these bigger speedways. I expect to be another really good show at Michigan. This is where I'm like, hey, they probably actually should have kept Auto Club Speedway in California. That probably
I
would have
agree.
been decent with these cars instead of them doing whatever they're doing that will finish in the next 25 years. Michigan traditionally has been a Ford strong track, but Hendrick has always had very strong runs here as well. Dale Jr.'s won and been fast here. Kyle Larson's a three-time winner at Michigan, and Toyotas have been fast on these big tracks as well. So it's hard to really pinpoint who you think is going to be good at this, and I think that's a good thing for the sport, and I think it should be a pretty decent race. And I bet it's a better crowd at Michigan than they had at Richmond because it'll be a better race.
Yeah, I think so. And the one thing you got to kind of worry about is lately is the TRD engines. Joe Gibbs they've been blowing up a lot of engines here lately, and Michigan can be difficult on. I don't know what horsepower package they're running on this one.
550.
Yeah, it's my guess. It's big, wide, 2 mile, tri-oval thing. It's drafting comes into play, so it kind of races like a super speedway, but not exactly. So it's a good transition between the mile and a halves and the in Talladega and Daytona. It's fun. They're at one time after the repave, they were running into the corner at 210 miles an hour or some crazy.
That was before they changed the engines.
Yeah, but still, the thing can be fast. You could see 3-4 wide going through there. It's going to be a better race. Richmond, which is it's a shame because I used to always love Richmond. Nobody was there.
It's Sunday night. People got to work.
Yeah. They don't leave any room for, I don't know. I think they made a mistake by running Sunday night. Saturday night, I think, would have been a way better crowd. Then you have a Sunday rain date if you had needed it.
Do a Friday night truck series and Saturday night Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done that before. I don't really know. It has to do with TV deals, I think, and how.
Yeah, it's a money deal, but
But Michigan, it's a Sunday afternoon race, and I think it's 3:30 Eastern time because they're like an hour or two behind. It'll be, I think it'll be a good race. I think the Xfinity's back in action this week. I think they will also put it on a good race. That one, it's hard to also pinpoint who's going to be good because all the manufacturers in the Xfinity are really good at these big tracks. You're going to see Junior Motorsports up there, probably like Allgaier specifically. Also, yeah, there was news that what's the kid's name? Oh, he's racing in the 88 next year for Junior, and I missed I forgot his name. There's a new kid that's racing for Dale Jr. next year.
Oh, that Zerlich or something like that.
Yeah, Connor Zelich.
Zelich, yeah.
Yep, and I think he's like 19, 20 years old, so good for that kid. And they have now announced the rest of the lineup for Junior Motorsports, so I think I'm still saying Travis Quapple's going to race.
Yeah.
Not Travis Quapple, Carson Quapple. Travis won't race again. But
I wonder if there's any talk with Junior trying to get Corey Day, maybe.
Well, Corey Day is sponsored by HendrickCars.com, and he raced a couple late models for Junior. Corey Day is very good at racing. We'll talk about that at Knoxville.
Yeah.
All right, so giving our fantasy lineups for Michigan this week, and this is where I'm kind of going in the mid-pack, picking. I have one pick I've never picked before. He's definitely going to just blow up. So, but here's my lineup for this week, and I have a little bit of all the manufacturers now instead of last week where I went straight Toyotas, which I've only lost by a little bit, so I guess it worked out okay for me. But my starting lineup is the hometown kid. I've got Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Chris Buescher. So I got both RFK cars. I think they'll be strong. And I've got first guy I've ever picked this guy, Carson Hocevar. That's who you were talking about too. I know it was. And in my garage, if all else fails, I've got Ryan Blaney because I think he'll be fast too. I think Joey will be fast. I think all the Penske camp except the one person that never runs good at Penske will be good. So the two, Joey and Ryan. You can use process elimination, who's probably going to suck. And for the featured matchups this week, it's Bubba Wallace versus Austin Dillon. Do I even need to think about this one? Austin Dillon might finish 37th out of 36 cars somehow. So I'm not picking Austin Dillon. Of course, if somebody picked Austin Dillon and last week it was probably like plus 200,000 to win Richmond, you
Yeah, I
probably
wonder
won
if
money.
you still get the bet even though they took all.
Oh yeah, you get the money. He still wins. You don't bet on points. Who cares about that? I got Bubba Wallace over Austin Dillon. Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano. I'm gonna give it to Joey Logano. I think that those two Penske cars are gonna be pretty quick. I've got Kyle Larson versus Ryan Blaney. I'm gonna give it to Ryan Blaney because
That's a tough one.
yeah, that's tough. That's probably tough. I would stay away from this if I were putting money on it. That's too hard to pick between the two. But I'm gonna give it to Ryan Blaney. If I jinx Blaney and to make Larson win, then that's the price I've got to pay for that. Martin Truex Jr. versus Ross Chastain. I'm going Martin Truex Jr. He's really good at Michigan. He's never won, but he's had a lot of runner-up finishes there. And we'll talk about the hot
Don't
picks after
blow
you
up
give
on
yours.
him again.
Oh yeah, yeah. That thing. Blah. I don't think it'll back-to-back weeks of blow up. You don't see that happen often. All right, go with yours.
Okay, so in mine I have Ryan Blaney, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano. I do have Carson Hocevar, first time I picked him, and another first time pick in my garage, Justin Haley.
They both have been racing surprisingly well.
I know, and this is one of those tracks where all of a sudden it's sort of one of those where did this guy come from type things. So
Could be.
See what happens. So in our matchups, I do have Bubba Wallace over Austin Dillon, Chase Elliott over Joey Logano, Kyle Larson over Blaney, and Truex over Ross Chastain.
Well, this is where one of us could extend our lead or just catastrophically fail. All right, so the hot picks this week is one of them is Martin Truex Jr.'s never won at Michigan, but he's had a few runner-up positions, like I was saying. Kyle Larson's won at Michigan 3 times. I believe he is the favorite to win Michigan this weekend. And I would, if you're putting money on something, he's plus 650 right now. I would put it on that because that's a pretty good damn deal to get that.
Yeah.
Avoid Alex Bowman. He's been struggling. He had a little bit of a stretch, and now it's kind of going back to where he was running earlier on in the year. So I agree with that. It says avoid Tyler Reddick. I don't agree with that. I think all the Toyotas will be fast, and they were fast last week. I think they'll be fast this week. And it says the sleeper's Bubba Wallace. So if the sleeper's Bubba Wallace, why is Reddick the avoid? So
yeah, I don't know.
Reddick's a better race car driver than Bubba's, and they're going to have similar setups. They have the same equipment, and I would give the edge on Reddick on that one. But we'll see what happens there. Should be interesting at Michigan. Let's give our picks for the winners for the Xfinity and the Cup Series. So in the Xfinity Series, who is your pick to win at Michigan?
Well, we just had a teammate get disqualified. Well, sort of teammate, garage mate, disqualified from the win at Richmond. But this guy goes good on these big tracks. Got to go with Austin Hill on this one.
Damn it. We have the same pick. Yep, I got Austin Hill too for the exact same reason. He's good at these big tracks, and every time I seem to pick Allgaier, or even you pick Allgaier, he.
I had Allgaier and went nope.
Yeah,
he would have liked the last lap.
I hope this isn't the same pick. Who do you have in the Cup Series?
So my pick for Cup Series is William Byron. Mom's pick is Brad Keselowski.
All right, well we're all different this week. My pick for the Cup Series this week is Christopher Bell.
Okay.
All right. Well, at least we avoided having double pick. At least our fantasy is completely different. All right. NHRA is heading up to Minnesota at Brainerd, and there's just the top 3 series. The motorcycles are off, I think, until like after Labor Day.
No, they're there.
No, they're not. That's PM. It wasn't PSM. They're
Pro Mod. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. No, I know the motorcycles are off because I saw Gianna posted on her TikTok saying basically she's bored for the next month or whatever. So that's the main reason I know they're not. I don't think it's cold yet at Minnesota. I mean, it could be. It's Minnesota. Who knows up there? But it'll be different from what they've raced at climate-wise throughout the year, I think.
Yeah, an interesting fact, and I'm pretty sure it's this track. Minnesota actually has cooling system for the first couple hundred feet at the starting line to keep the track cooler for better
That's
traction. They have like these giant air conditioners that pump cold air through pipes under the ground.
that's ironic.
Yeah, so when you get to the where the track temperature, I don't know how much it is. Let's say it's 10, 15 degrees cooler, and all of a sudden you get that transition. You got to make sure those the fuel cars definitely have the clutch set up just right to make that transition, because you're going to see a lot of cars they're going to take off, but they'll get, I don't know what it is, 200 feet down the track or 330, and all of a sudden they'll blow the tires off the thing. So,
Do you think that's anything that would work out at like these hot tracks like Tampa or anything?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, it's a state that's cold generally.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it's the summertime.
It's probably warm out there right now, so it's just
weird to hear like, oh, let's have some air conditioning in Minnesota. You just don't really associate that. Yeah, kind of strange. Well, they've been off for the last couple weeks, but they're getting back into it.
And again, Jack Beckman going to be driving John Force's car.
Yeah, I did see that, and that's really cool. Fast Jack Beckman, he's been out for a couple years now. I think he was
it's
technically
just
retired,
team shut down and gone.
Yeah, I don't know if he officially retired or was like a semi-retirement type thing, but that's a good driver to have to at least fill in for you to help out. Hopefully, he has some decent luck and decent finishes to
Seems
at least
like
boost.
He's always been a nice guy and a fan favorite. So I think that's a good pick for John Force.
Yeah, and at least boost the team's morale. Hopefully, improve, help them out and get back into it, because it sucks right now when their driver's out and their owner's out and they don't really know what's going to happen. So that's always good to see. All right, well, we'll get into our picks for NHRA at Brainerd. So I'll give my 3 picks, and I don't have a gimme this week for motorcycles. It's kind of throwing me off.
I got mine mixed up a little bit this week, so we'll see what happens.
Well, my pro stock, I'm going to go back to a guy who was pretty strong for the first quarter of the year. Not as fast the last couple bit because, well, pro stock's kind of hard to pick at this point, and everybody seems to be racing well. But I've got Greg Anderson for my pro stock pick. My funny car pick, I'm kind of going deep into the like dark horses here. But he's been pretty good. He's had fast cars. He just kind of lines up with the fastest time of the qualifier stuff. Last time he raced against Ron Capps. Well, that's going to be hard to beat, especially when Ron Capps has it going on for the whole weekend. He just got beat by Ron Capps. I think it was thousandths. J.R. Todd's my pick for funny car. And my top fuel pick, a guy that you jinx all the damn time, but I'm going to finally go with him. I haven't picked him this year. I'm going with Steve Torrance.
This is going to be interesting.
Don't tell me it's the same damn picks on all 3.
No. So pro stock, I have Troy Coughlin Jr. on this one. It seems like he's been running pretty well. Funny car, I have Ron Capps. And top fuel, we're close.
You have his brother.
I got his dad. I got
Billy Torrance. Yeah. Billy. Yeah. Yeah. Now you're going to jinx both Torrances.
They break down on the way to the track.
Yeah, probably. All right, NHRA's wrapped up. IndyCar's back, and they are back on an oval. They are at Gateway, St. Louis, in the Midwest. This is a Saturday night race. It'll
6
be
6 p.m. Eastern.
That's awesome. IndyCar at nighttime in the Midwest on an oval. That's going to be an exciting.
Look like they're absolutely flying around.
Oh yeah, and it's a fairly flat track, but it don't matter to them. So
that's better for the IndyCars. It's a 1.25 mile, egg-shaped track, 2 different bankings, 2 different corners. That's going to be a fun race. Saturday night. Sit outside.
It's going to be way better than what it's going to be better than what NASCAR's product is at Gateway, and it's going to be packed at IndyCar. Yeah, I would be there if I were anywhere close to St. Louis. That'd be pretty fun.
So if you're tuning in, it's on USA and Peacock. So I know IndyCar sometimes is hard to find.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Iowa was the last oval that they raced at, and it looked like basically Team Penske was the team to beat. Are they the one to beat this weekend? Probably. Yes. They're the ones to beat in the entire for the championship.
Right now they seem to be a slight edge, I think.
But they've had a little bit of time off, so these other teams have a little bit of time to maybe adjust and prepare what they got going into Gateway. So What do you expect out of these cars at Gateway besides being super damn fast? I mean, do you think it'll be pretty competitive overall, or do you think somebody's going to get the
Um,
lead and just drive away?
yeah, I think you're going to. Unfortunately, I don't see close racing for long. Hopefully, there's enough cautions. After the cautions, it's going to be exciting where they're going to be going 3, 4 wide on restarts. I think you will see somebody going out to a 2, 3, 4 second lead, the next car a couple seconds behind that. Unfortunately, and that's even how it goes, even in sprint cars. The faster the track and everything else, the more strung out it usually gets. So hopefully, depending on how cautions fall and pit strategy, maybe, fuel mileage thing can make things a little more interesting towards the end. So just we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's going to be nice. Sit outside by the pool, drink a couple beers, have the race on TV Saturday evening. Sounds like a good night to me.
I'll be working, but it's okay. All right, well, let's give our picks for IndyCar. So I'll give mine. This is not a Penske car. This is one that, if there's anybody that can compete against the Penskes right now, I think it could be this guy. He was really impressive at Iowa. He has showed a lot of good speed. He's had good speed all year long. I think he's a little too far behind to actually contend for the championship at this point. But I got Pato Award.
Okay. Yeah, I usually pick him and then he does something bad. So I'm going to stick with Penske, especially on an oval. Got to go Joseph Newgarden.
All right. All right. The final little bit we have to go over, high limit and outlaws, but let's just kind of go over the whole Knoxville Nationals because high limit and Knoxville Nationals were there. Shout out to the 69K, made a very strong case to possibly win the Nationals. They had some issues. The car fell off pretty hard on Saturday. They ended up finishing, I think, 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But very strong effort for that.
Good
But
qualifying night. Started on the outside pole with the point. You actually tied with Larson.
yep, but this is the first time since the 80s with Steve Kinser that somebody's led every single lap, flag to flag, back-to-back years for the Knoxville Nationals, and Kyle Larson has done it.
Yeah, it never used to be 50 laps either, so that's a lot more laps Larson has led.
And I don't really know, is it as impressive for being a 50-lap race when you stop halfway through?
Well, I mean, it's still 50 laps.
But I will say that Paul Silva did one thing that nobody else did in the entire race. He left the same damn tires on that car. He didn't touch them. He said, basically told Kyle, said, go with it. It's fine. Suck it up. You'll be fine. And he was. It was pretty much an old school ass whooping.
Hoosiers, you never know. You put another tire on it, and it
Well,
makes the same, and they just don't handle the same.
They had a close up with it, and the tire looked really good.
Knoxville's a nice track. When it don't take rubber, it's easy on tires.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody else.
And I'm thinking he may have had a slightly harder tire on just from that start, where I thought Pittman 69K was going to drive around him.
And then he just started driving away.
And then once that harder tire got hot, I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating.
A big recognition needs to go to Giovanni Scelzi, who came so close, and he was so heartbroken after the race. I mean, you could see what this race means to everybody, and to come that close to winning it. Gio's done it for quite a few years now, and he's come. This is the closest he's ever had a chance to it, but nobody was going to beat Larson at the end. His car was just phenomenal. He's too good of a race car driver to let that one slip out at the end. Corey Day with his Knoxville Nationals debut,
so our picks did pretty good.
Yeah, our picks were second and third. That's about if Larson just didn't race, I would have won. But I mean, but to be third in the Knoxville Nationals as an 18-year-old, that is impressive.
You just don't go to Knoxville and be fast. It's just not that simple.
No, and especially the Nationals of anything, because you have to be consistent throughout the week. You have to build the points to even have anywhere close. I don't even think he started like
he started back fairly far.
11th. He was like in the row 5, row 6, something like that. So it wasn't like the one race where he started 24th and won, but that was impressive. And I kind of wish they didn't stop halfway. They can make it 50 laps. They don't need to stop.
Not anymore. They can't. They'd have to put bigger tail tanks on them.
You think they would have made it on fuel?
Not the way these engines run anymore. Back when we were doing stuff, our engines would have ran 50 laps.
But there's too much horsepower now.
They're just dumping so much fuel in these things and making so much power. they'd have to put a 32-gallon fuel cell in the thing.
Did you see Logan Schuchart their crew changed the entire gears within the 5-minute clock or whatever it was? I have never seen that.
Yeah, especially when they're those gears are 1,000 degrees, and I'm trying to figure out what happened that they broke a gear or were able to pull the gears out, put new gears in, dump the oil back in it if they dump the oil back in it.
Well, I didn't see any rear end grease or anything get put back into the. I'm like, I didn't see anything.
That's what I mean. I didn't see them put any oil back in it, so maybe they
So
were like,
maybe it wasn't exactly the gears. I mean, maybe
they
put them
were changing gears. So
maybe they put them on upside down because that's never happened. And well, that was just I have never seen that. I don't think anybody had like mechanics gloves on or anything. They just said, "Oh, let's just go raw dog on it."
You know how hot those things are.
Yeah, a little warm. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, and they did it with. I mean, done. Well, the whole crew was like, "No, we're done," and they're like, "All right, it looks like they're done." And they're like, "Oh, actually, they're not done. They're actually they somehow did this." And those guys on Dirt Vision, they've seen everything, and they're like, "That's the first time we've seen that."
Yeah.
So that probably takes the crown of the best fix it time or whatever you call it. It's not pit stop, but yeah. That was pretty impressive. But yeah, Kyle Larson gets his third Knoxville Nationals, the third in 4 years, and he probably should have had 2020 as well. And he was mentioning that too. He got to have all of his little ones on the wing, so that was
cool.
And the little one was up there too. I think that's the first time he got to do that too. So that was pretty cool. And they said Larson had some boos. I didn't hear boos in the crowd. Maybe there were like a couple, but I didn't really hear a lot of boos.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to boo a winner.
Well, they're probably just like, come on, somebody else win at this point. Yeah, that was kind of an old school ass whooping once again. All right, High Limit's back in action this week in their series. They have 3 nights in a row, all different tracks. They're out west. They are at Thunderbolt on Thursday, so tomorrow night, as we're recording this.
25.
I saw some highlights in Thunderbolt. I don't think any of the major series have ever been at Thunderbolt. I think it's kind of more of a local racetrack from what I've seen. I didn't see any outlaw stuff there.
Yeah, I think Outlaw's around there.
Okay, well maybe I just can't read. But
the other ones I couldn't find anything.
I saw Kings and Placerville with Outlaws.
Oh, maybe I got them mixed up. That's possible.
But I didn't see a whole lot about Thunderbolt. So what's your notes on Thunderbolt?
It's funny, like racetracks. If you're going to have your website, tell us how big your track is. There's like no information on the tracks. Like you might find something on like a Wikipedia page or whatever. Give us, but I mean, it's one of those things that looks like it's dark clay, which I didn't realize California had that, but okay.
All these tracks are dark clay.
Yeah, and it just from what I was watching, it does look like it gets slick and the top's pretty quick. It looks to be about a 3/8 of a mile, and just judging by the lap times, I'm guessing that's probably somewhere we got going through there. Now, California always used to have been known, and I don't know where these are in California. But one thing California used to be known for is like real heavy cushions, and these tracks do not seem to really have that. It looked like it got pretty slick.
No, there wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah, which that doesn't mean it's not going to be good racing. I think it's actually better racing than having a big heavy cushion. So it'll be interesting. I think you're going to see the California racers shine this weekend for Highland.
Well, who's your pick for Thunderbolt?
So I'm going to go. We talked about him a little bit. I'm going to go with the 18-year-old from California, Corey Day.
Well, I'm gonna go. You said the stars shine there. Well, I'm going with the guy that he always shines because he's sunshine, Tyler Courtney. It's probably not dark clay either. It's probably like the ashes of all the wildfires that happened in California. But anyways, Friday they're at King Speedway.
Yeah, that's another one. I have no idea. It looks like it's about 3/8.
It's similar to Thunderbolt. Looks like
they look very. It's like got the same color clay. Gets slick. The corners are. Groove-wise, looked like it was very wide, almost like what you see from the New York tracks, like real, like it looked like it was good on the top and the bottom, but the top just gets so far around towards the end of the race, it's hard to run. So I think
Bottom's going to
I
be
think you have to be good on the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing. And Outlaws have raced there too, so I think possibly maybe former Outlaw guys will do decent here. So, who's your pick on Friday?
I got a theme here for this race. They're all California drivers, and they're all different. So I got Rico Abreu on this one. Been a while.
I don't have any damn theme. I'm just going with this. Let's see. This guy has not been fast lately, but if there's a time to turn around, he goes well here. If anybody can run the damn bottom and just how smooth he can run it, I've got Brad Sweet on Friday.
Okay.
He's not from California, are they?
Yeah.
They are? Oh,
yeah.
Well, there you go. I got a Californian there.
Yeah, he's from California.
Sunshine he's from Indiana.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, well, no, close. Saturday, they are at Placerville, and World of Outlaws have raced there. In the past two, this looks again. It looks like a little bit more banked, I guess, than the other two tracks.
High bank quarter mile. They actually have this on their website. It's like, thank you, I know what we're looking at.
So we got another bull ring. So this one's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. There's no real outside fence. In turns 1 and 2, look like they have a bunch of white tractor tires kind of lined up on the outside, which seems safe. 3 and 4, there doesn't seem to be any real fence. But it's one of those things that it looks like this one did look like it had a little more of a heavier cushion, especially in like turns 3 and 4. It looked like it had a pretty good deep cushion, at least in the video I was watching on. But it's to win this one, you're going to have to be good all over. A quarter mile track, you're going to have to be passing cars on top and bottom. But I think if you can run the bottom and stay down there, you're probably better off getting through lap cars that way. So my pick, third California guy, his brother-in-law just won the Knoxville Nationals, so I got Brad Sweet.
And I've got another Californian. I got your night 1 pick. I've got Corey Day for this. Running the ever-living.
To see him put on a show.
Running the hell of that in a little bull ring. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to be some good stuff. I don't know if I think Larson will likely race Thursday and Friday. It's probably not that big of a drive for them. They're based out of California, but Saturday it kind of depends when qualifying is for Michigan and what time it all lines up.
Yeah, there was some. I don't think Larson's racing any of them, to be quite honest, because there was a post on Paul Silva. They have an Australian sprint car champion named Jock Goodyear. I mean, that's an awesome name.
It's racing for.
He's going to be racing the 57 for Paul Silva.
Oh, well, good luck.
So you see it. It's just going to be a plain white 57. There's no real sponsors on it or anything like that. So
yeah, because the sponsor Larson, not the team.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be that Larson was on the entry list last I saw. I mean, anything.
It gives him a little bit of a break. I think he kind of earned it after winning the biggest race in dirt racing.
Yeah.
So
nowhere to go but down after that. So
yeah. All right. Well, we're heading the last little bit. World of Outlaws. They're at the same track, so this is a lot easier to watch stuff and all that. They 2 nights at Jackson Motorplex. Again, we're in Minnesota. It must be like a northern Midwest type theme this weekend.
Wonder how far away they are from the drag races.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because racers support racers. You know, I remember when we were talking to Caps that one time, told we were sprint car guys, and he's like, "Man, those guys are crazy."
Yeah, I mean, I'd at least expect maybe Tony to show up and watch some of the Outlaws races.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, he kind of owns a car, so
yeah.
I think 2 cars. He owns Shots and someone else.
Does he? That could be.
But Jackson Motorplex, kind of go through that one real quick. What are your notes on that?
So that one's a 3/8 miles. That's the black dirt. It looks like a lot like Knoxville. It's a great surface. I mean, it looked like it was glass smooth, and it was one of those. It was multiple lines. There was a bottom. There's a middle. There's a top. I think that's going to put on good racing. I think you're probably going to get a little slicker Saturday night. You know, assuming we have just decent weather the whole weekend. Who knows anymore? So it's a really nice. At least I don't know what the facility's like, but the racetrack surface reminds me just the way it's prepared of like Hagerstown, just so smooth. It's going to be real fast for the 410 spreads for sure.
Yeah, I think it'd be another good racing. And you can say what you want. The Nationals were still a good race. The whole week was good racing. It was just when one guy just whips everybody, it kind of takes away that wasn't actually good race. So there was good racing though. I mean, it was passing all the way around except for the lead. So it was good. And it's been that theme 98% of the year.
Knoxville's it's sort of its own breed in the way, they're going to reward you for having a good qualifying night. And if you want to see the best racing, it's probably Wednesdays and Thursday night.
Yeah.
They were good races. The best point guys are going to start up front. So it's just,
and arguably,
you earned it.
And arguably the heats are the best ones too.
Yeah.
But all right, well, 2 nights, night 1, night 2. Who do you got for both nights at Jackson Motorplex in Minnesota?
So Friday, this guy might have been the show at Knoxville. I got Gio Scelzi for Friday, and then I go with old reliable for Saturday, point leader David Gravel.
Okay, well, at least we don't have the same picks, but the first one, I do have Gio as night 1. Hot Sauce is my night 1. But night 2, this guy goes good here, and I think the bottom could be a nice, fast way around once again. I've got Donnie Schatz. I keep picking him. One of these damn times he's going to win for me. Because when I go away from him, that's when he wins.
Yeah.
And we we'll go out on limbs and we pick David Gravel. That's the only time we're correct on that stuff. Because he won like 8 races this year or something. All right, so what I want to do for a 5 list next week, top 5, whatever you want to list out. But I want the 5 most suitable tracks. Because IndyCar's racing at St. Louis this week, it's a NASCAR track. What 5 tracks that IndyCar does not race on, that NASCAR races on, would make good racing for these IndyCars?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
And it can be, I think they race at all the road courses that NASCAR races on. So which 5 ovals, let's just go with that. Which 5 ovals would you like to see IndyCar race on that NASCAR races on? And if you guys have a list for us, drop it in the comments. Let us know which track you'd like to see IndyCar race on, because they put on really good shows at these tracks. They've had former tracks that you can do what they used to race on if you want to, because they've raced at like Dover before. They've raced at Charlotte. I don't think they'll ever go back to a mile and a half the way that happened.
It's too fast.
That's way too damn fast. Even though they used to race on Pocono, and that's really fast. I like to see them go on Pocono, but the way the banking is, it's just not really smart for that. But yeah, drop that in and see where IndyCar drivers should race at. But I think that does it for this week. We'll be back in action next week to go over a plethora of racing that's happening this week. And we'll give you that top 5 list. And hopefully we do you guys some good on the fantasy that we have. On fantasy posted on all social media platforms. So follow anywhere you get your social media, anywhere you get your podcast. And make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because there's some funny ass memes that drop weekly as well.
Meme. That was a great one.
That was a good one this week, so be on the lookout for those. I try to be more consistent with it, and just kind of what I want to do is whatever drama really shakes out at the tracks is the best one. So, hint, that was a Deadpool Wolverine one. If you guys haven't seen it yet, that's the one that's trending. So, all right, well, till next week, we will see you guys then.
All right, bye, everybody.